I know what we could do. I could
Hold-
just
we're
like
going
I
live.
could make the MacPaw sponsorship go on for like 40 minutes. and then we just say, okay, and that's all the CultCast we got for you today.
All right, let's see if this headline brings any people in. I doubt it. I doubt it, Lewis. I really do. But let's see. Oh, you know what? I forgot the tweet, Lewis. I don't even have one written. I'm sorry. I don't even have one written. Boom! And we're live. We got a few people here, but without the tweet, this show is hopelessly lost. Should we just go ahead and wrap it up? You know what? I knew I was forgetting something. You know when you have that gnawing feeling and you're like, I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what it is? I had that feeling. But that's okay, though, because we got Reese Grundy here. He says, hi, Govs. Good to see you both. Cheerio, old bean. This is going to be probably one of the best shows that we've done all week. Wouldn't you agree, Lewis? Definitely
right up there with the week's best.
I mean, there's not a lot of Apple news, guys. I'm gonna be just brutally honest with you. But if we can make this show more interesting than Gruber's talk show, I will consider it a success.
Oh my God! I'm looking for your tweet, and I
There's
just
nothing.
saw a picture of Sean Penn
Oh, I'm sorry.
at the January 6th hearing. Oh my God, he looks like a grizzled old man. He's half bald. Oh my God, I can't believe that.
Too many Marlboro Reds, man. That's what too many Marlboro Reds will do.
Oh man,
You gotta be careful. Gotta be careful with those ones.
That
All right,
is shocking.
we got Mark Lapointe here. Hello, Gov. We got Dipsy Doo. We got Michael Fu. Obi-Wan finale. I haven't seen it yet. I could do an episode on Obi-Wan, episodes 1 through 5. I haven't seen 6 yet. I don't know, man. I've got mixed feelings on it, to be honest with you. But I feel like that with most content, it's definitely no For All Mankind. That's for sure. Right, Lewis?
Haven't seen what?
There's a new Obi-Wan series out. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Have you watched any of it?
Oh, you mean episode 6? Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched though. I didn't take you for a big Star Wars guy, but I don't know. Maybe you are.
Hey, man, I grew up on Star Wars. I love that stuff until the bad
prequels?
ones.
Till the bad ones. You mean all the ones that followed the original ones that you saw?
I think it was the prequels. When they started talking politics constantly, like I don't want to watch virtual Congress with,
but with aliens.
with just funnier looking senators.
It's like George Lucas was watching C-SPAN. He's like, it clicked. He's like, I got a great idea. Instead of having real people in C-SPAN, we'll have aliens. People are gonna love it.
Oh my God.
You know the thing about the original Star or the prequels, man. I don't want to be mean.
Go ahead.
I'm a nice guy. I try to be nice, but that kid actor they hired to be Anakin Skywalker was one of the worst actors I had ever seen at that time. And that poor kid, man, I don't know how he got cast in that role, but he could not pull that part off. And that point is affirmed by the fact like after he did those movies, he never acted again. I think he's like a personal trainer now. So it's like, was he like some producer's kid or something? But that kid who played Anakin, he was, unfortunately, he was way out of his league. And that's a tough, as a kid, as any person, that would be a tough part to play. But especially as a kid with a limited amount of emotional repertoire, it would be very difficult to do that. And it wasn't good.
Didn't work out. Hey, man, there's still no tweet, just to be clear.
Yeah, I know. That's because I said there's not going to be a tweet. I feel like
how can there not be a tweet?
I feel like we've had a massive misunderstanding this whole time.
They don't cost anything.
I don't have a tweet. I didn't write a tweet. We're sitting here waiting for the show to start, and you're obsessing over the tweet, and it's starting to make me nervous.
I can't quote tweet a non-tweet.
Well, just try it. Just try to quote tweet. We're dropping viewers precipitously. So do you want me to tweet out? Okay,
they need to tweet.
Lewis cannot compute. He's literally going to shut down. So let me just send out a tweet. I'm gonna tweet. I'm gonna do this tweet. This is my go-to. Okay, are you ready?
It's something CultCast.
Here you go. This is gonna really bring him in. CultCast is live. Talking this. Oh wait. This is even better. Talking M2 MacBook Pro reviews and this week's best Apple stories! Exclamation point. That's key. That really shows me that you're enthusiastic.
It's a force multiplier, the exclamation point.
Okay, there you go, dude. There's your tweet.
Oh, thank goodness.
You almost blue screened there. All right, let's go ahead. We actually do have some interesting stories to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and queue up, you know who. She's here. She's ready. Oh, Mrs. D. How are you boys doing? Oh, Mrs. D, you're in a great mood. Oh, yes, I had one special El Caney over to my house this morning, and I fed him some delicious cinnamon buns and my buns. Oh, God. Did you? Jeez, gross. Mrs. D, if you don't mind, I don't want to hear about your escapades with El Caney. What I do want to hear is that luscious falsetto of yours while we get this show rolling. So if you don't mind, ready when you are, dear. Let me go ahead and cue up this music, and we'll get this thing going. Spent 20 minutes talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. What? Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Careful and Elijah. Join me today. Now that the editor-in-chief, Leander Caney, is on vacation, you might see him rolling around San Francisco in the CultMac Lamborghini Murcielago company car. Purple, of course. Attending important soirees with executives at Apple's Spaceship campus. And wandering the halls of the Cult Club with a special edition purple robe and fez. I hope you find that robe tie, Lewis. That was grossly inappropriate. Leaving it open like that as he wandered the halls. He's the magic editor of CultMac. Lewis Walls is there.
Yeah, the color purple, huh? I don't know.
Isn't that CultMac's official color?
It is a kingly color.
At least it used to be the official color. What is the official color now? Is it blue? Do we change the blue?
Off gray.
Puce. Welcome to the new CultMac. Puce. Everything's puce.
I don't even know how to. I do not know how to spell puce.
Isn't it P-U-S-E?
I don't know.
You're the CultMac managing editor, and you don't know how to spell puce?
No.
God.
It's never come up.
That is surprising. I'm surprised no one's weaved it in. My friends.
I'm almost afraid to type it into Google and find out what.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would not on a
CE, a dark red or purple brown color.
Exactly. Just such a beautiful color.
P-U-C-E. Okay.
P-U-C-E?
P-U-C-E. Don't say you didn't learn anything from the CultCast.
It's like
we're already one up in the knowledge category today.
That will be your the only thing that you learned today. The only edifying moment of this show will be what you just heard just right now. Puce. All right, my friends, we got a whole lot to talk about. Where are my notes? Golly gee willikers. Here they are. We're talking about the M2 MacBook Pro reviews. They're in, and they're about what you would expect. Not great. So definitely don't buy the MacBook Pro, the M2 MacBook Pro. You're going to want to get that air. That air action is what you're going to want to have. Let's see here. Lewis was like, this story's too old. We got to bring it up again because there are rumors swirling that we may get a new MacBook, a 15-inch MacBook. Now, before we've talked about this being a MacBook Air, but it might actually be just a regular MacBook, according to Ming Chi Kuo. So that could be a whole new line of MacBook in Apple's lineup. I know we've had MacBooks in the past, and it could get some interesting options. So I thought we could at least discuss that because that is on the horizon. We got to talk about M2 a little bit more. We got some more benchmarks, so I thought it was at least worth mentioning that. And then we've got Apple's master CarPlay plan. And by CarPlay, I mean the Apple CarPlay. I mean, not just the CarPlay, the software that you can get in your car. And the more you look into this story, the more interesting it becomes. Did you know that Apple doesn't make any royalties off CarPlay, Lewis? They make nothing. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's funny. I remember we discussed that. And you're like, oh, yeah, they make a lot of money. And then
I thought they did, but they don't.
I saw that tidbit in a little bit of news.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know how to go back and correct the CultCast, so I just let it fly.
Oh, we don't even bother. We just let all the mistakes just lay out there forever. Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting, and it seems like Apple's recent move with CarPlay is alluding to the Apple Car, and it's actually kind of a genius move. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And there's some interesting features coming to iOS 16, beta 2, And I was talking to Lewis about them. His mind was blown. He didn't even know that these already exist. And we're talking about SMS filtering. If you don't know how to do this, I'll give you a little tidbit there that might help you keep your SMS messages in order. And then we'll wrap up with a discussion on a show that I thought nobody watched, which is Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind. It was one of the most horrendously boring shows I'd ever seen, and I think I probably made it 3 episodes in, and then I quit. But apparently, it is one of the most popular shows on streaming television today. I'm not sure I believe it. But we should talk about it.
Yeah, I wonder if that maybe that rating service is run by Cook Tim.
Jim Rook.
Jim Rook, yeah, that's better.
He's got like a hat pulled down over his eyes, so you can't really see. He's got a trench coat on.
Yeah, trust us. These
He's
numbers
like,
are real. These numbers are real.
Hey, y'all, it's me, Jim Rook. Is that you, Jim? Before we dive in, do you want to talk about MacPaw there, Lewis, our sponsor for this episode?
Yeah.
Might as well.
MacPaw makes this software called Clean My Mac X.
Oh, yeah.
It's a decluttering app for your Mac that can keep it in tip-top shape.
Mm-hmm.
Clean My Mac X. I never know if it's Clean My Mac X or Clean My Mac 10. I should have figured that out before I started talking about it. I'm just going to call it Clean My Mac.
Maybe
because that'll be a whole lot easier to defend later on.
Maybe do that research before you do the sponsor. Yeah.
Just embarrassing. Anyway, it includes 49 tools, 49, to find and delete invisible computer junk, helps tune up the Mac to make sure it runs at maximum speed. You can free up space on there so you don't run out of storage. It also organizes your disk. Oh my God! Organizes your disk space, showing you large folders. Oh my! This is a new high. Clean My Mac also fights Mac-specific malware. I can't believe I was able to say that properly. And adware, and protects your computer from that kind of garbage. It's notarized by Apple, because you can find it in the Mac App Store, or you can download it directly from MacPaw. Up to you. But it is notarized by Apple, so it's safe and secure, and not going to destroy your Mac or be some kind of garbage app. It's got great design. In 2021, Clean My Mac was honored with the Red Dot Award, UX Design Award, and it also was a Webby Award nominee this year.
Oh wow!
I asked Leander about this. I've never used Clean My Mac. And I asked Leander about it. I said, hey, do you swear by this or do you swear at it? He said he swears by it. So that's a true stamp of approval there. Leander Caney swears by it
from him
instead of swearing at it.
Sometimes he swears at it too, but that's because he has Tourette's, so it's not their fault.
So we've got a special offer. You can go to macpaw.app/cultcast to get 5% off Clean My Mac.
There you go.
And discount is valid through June 30. Go to macpaw.app/cultcast.
macpaw.app.cultcast. Yeah.
.app/. You always say / I always figure this. Like nobody types in a backward slash in a URL.
It's just force of habit. Sometimes I say slash, but when I'm trying to really enunciate, I say / for all those internet users out there that don't realize it's a / and not a backslash. Your link is broken.
Yeah. So, special deal, 5% off that URL that I said before. June 30 is when that ends. One more thing. I don't know if you know this, but MacPaw is they're based in Ukraine.
That's right.
And they had a special note. Their team has been, despite the war, it's obviously caused problems. The team has been prepared for these circumstances. There are no disruptions in support or development of Clean My Mac X or 10 or whatever it is. The product is stable, safe, and secure. Stay tuned for new updates from the Clean My Mac team.
Props to them. That's incredible. I can't even imagine.
They're great people.
Trying to run a software service and also, having to deal with everything that's happening over there. So go support them. cleanmymac.app/cultcast. Okay, Lewis, let's dive into the first story of the week. God, it's just slow right now. You know what? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's almost a gall darn snooze fest right now. So I think going forward, Lewis and I were just talking. We're like, let's do the Apple news every week, but we're gonna start trying to do more reviews of gadgets and stuff, and maybe some more general tech news. because the summertime is always a little bit slow for Apple News, and things aren't really going to pick up again until September. This week we actually have some decent stuff, but so it's not going to be a horrible train wreck. But I was looking at the stories this week, and I was like, this is almost a gall darn snooze fest. But we got some interesting products here. So let's talk about the M2 MacBook Pro, and I'll stop telling everyone how boring this computer is.
Gee whiz. Yeah, so we did a little roundup of reviews around the webinar.
Yeah.
Our synopsis of it was powerful chip, archaic design. Not that that's like a groundbreaking take on that. I mean, it's kind of what everybody expected. Anyway, the computer comes out this week, but the first reviews are in. This is the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M2 processor, and the reviews are not kind. It gets called a Pro in name only, and literally a processor update and nothing more. Which, yeah, that's kind of what we thought. Engadget says the 2022 version of the MacBook Pro seems a bit like a relic from another era. CNET said it has a throwback design, and its look can be traced back more than a decade. That's when you hear it like that, it sounds a little rougher than
I mean, come on. You could trace the look of all MacBook Pros back a decade, can't you?
Three decades, man. It's a folding computer with a screen in one part and keyboard on the other. Wow.
The original design came out 30 years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, that's basically everybody's saying all the same things, right? This thing's bulkier than it needs to be because it still has a cooling fan, even though M2 processor doesn't need one.
Right.
The MacBook Air isn't going to have one.
Right.
And Engadget points out that this is the MacBook Pro from a time when Apple had to build machines around Intel's hotter and less efficient chips.
That's right.
So it's like a laptop built for the past, basically.
It's funny, if you ever see someone with one of these things, you just kind of know right off the bat, you're like, that's a noob.
How would you even know it's going to look exactly like the other one?
Yeah, right? I guess that's true. You would never know there was an M2 inside. But this, and I mentioned this last show, so I don't want to beat this dead horse again, although I do enjoy being a horse now and again. It's just kind of a bizarre computer. It seems to me like they should have discontinued it, and maybe the only reason they just put the new M2 in it is because they have plans for it in the future. They don't want to discontinue the whole computer. So they have plans that are going to happen at some future point, but for now they're like, well, let's just shoehorn the M2 in there. And I think that the point about it being, it having fans and the M2 not really needing fans is actually a really interesting one, because this chassis was designed to cool the Intel chips, which, you don't have an Intel Mac right now, do you, Lewis?
No.
Okay, yeah, so I still have my MacBook Pro. That thing gets so hot doing everything. I usually have to put a pillow on my lap so it doesn't sterilize me because it gets so dang hot. Like, it will literally singe my legs. It's that hot. And good luck wearing shorts and putting that thing on your lap.
Wow.
I mean, they really just get that hot. And the M2 clearly doesn't need to have a fan. They put it in the iPad, right? So, or the M1. So the M2 is even more efficient. So clearly, it doesn't really need to be this thick with the fans. But this really is just a pointless computer. And if you missed last show, the only reason that you would want to buy this, because the MacBook Air, the M2 MacBook Air, is superior in almost every way, is because you want the extra battery life. Like, it's 20 hours instead of 18 for the MacBook Air. And I don't remember all the pros and cons. There was one more that I was missing. But there was only really two reasons to get the M2 MacBook Pro over the MacBook Air, and they weren't compelling reasons, and one of them was the fact that it gets slightly longer battery life. So that's going to be a hard pass for me, dog. I'm waiting for the updated MacBook Pros, but if it were me, I would go for the M2 MacBook Air, because that computer is beautiful. It has all the right moves, if you know what I'm saying, Lewis.
Yeah, I'll drop in the link to the we've done a couple of buying guides, actually. One for the M2 MacBook Air versus M2 MacBook Pro. I mean, we just published one today about M2 MacBook Air versus the M1 MacBook Air, which Apple is still selling. There's a lot of these it's a weird time, and I think it's got to be related to the supply chain problems and everything else. Like, things are slowed down, things are a little weird. There's a couple of sort of like distortions in the field of what's supposed to be. So, I think they're helpful for people who are really trying to evaluate, hey, should I spend an extra $300 or not? So
yeah, We got some fellow Intel Mac owners in the chat here. Jason K4 Hef says that I like wearing short shorts. Well, no comment. Oh, he's not the one talking about the Macs though. We got Mark Lapointe. My fan starts blowing whenever I try to zoom or do anything with the video. Oh yeah, same here. My fans start blowing if I do anything. Like if I'm exporting, like a Logic clip, and Logic is just audio, and I don't even think it uses all of the cores, and that will turn the thing red hot. If I'm browsing the internet, the fans will usually come on, and it gets super hot. My iMac, my i5 MacBook can fry an egg when watching a video. Jason says, "Oh, there's the comment I missed." Yeah, same here, man. It's once you move to the Apple Silicon and it's just like warm, slightly warm, you kind of forget what it was like with Intel, and then you use one, you're like, now I know why Apple switched. Let's see here.
I just remember the battery that wouldn't last more than like 4 hours.
Yeah. Oh god. Well, yeah. There's that as well. Like my MacBook Pro, if I unplug that thing, it probably lasts maybe 3.5 hours. You know, and if I'm pushing it, then definitely less than 3 hours.
If you can't make a flight to Chicago without your
yeah
without your laptop dying, then something's wrong.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible. We have already forgotten how much better or how much worse the Intel chips were than the
never forget. Never forget.
You're like an elephant, I know. Let's see here. So we talked about the roundup, the review roundup. So just to kind of summarize that and put a bow on it, I would say for the most part, people are not impressed. They shoehorned an M2 into the MacBook Pro, and if you need the M2, then the MacBook Pro at this point is your only option if you don't want to wait for a MacBook Air, but those will be coming out pretty soon too. Let's see here. Before we talk about this 15-inch MacBook with the M2 Pro, Lewis, let me just mention a quick blurb on the M2 itself, especially versus the M1. We talked a little bit about this last week, but we have more benchmarks in now. Let me see if I can bring this up. Where'd it go? Yeah, there we go. So the M2 is fast, but some people were wondering, is it faster than the M1 Pro or the M1 Max? And the answer to that is no, it's definitely not. And, you know, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed on the single-core performance of the M1, or excuse me, the M2. So, like, if you're looking at single-core performance in Geekbench, it's only about 12% faster than the M1, which is not that much faster. I don't even know if single-core performance matters anymore. It used to be something that people talked about a lot, and it was more important for people who played games because oftentimes games won't use all your cores. They really just need, like, 4 cores. And so single-core performance is really important because they're not utilizing all of your cores. I don't know if that matters anymore, but if it doesn't matter, then, you know, then I guess that's kind of a moot point because the multi-core performance of the M2 is about 20 to 25% faster in real-world tests than the M1, which is huge. That's a big increase. And then the GPU is about 40% faster than the M1. So if you're doing things that are GPU intensive, like editing video or something, or using your GPU to calculate fluid dynamics or something, then you're going to get a huge increase in performance. So it is a big increase in performance from a multi-core and GPU perspective, not so much from a single-core performance perspective. But the thing about multi-core performance is that I feel like it's kind of a parlor trick. Like, if they just add more cores, it's like, did you actually do anything to make your chip faster? Because all you did was add more cores. And there's a zillion cores in the M1 Ultra, but it doesn't really help you because most applications, and we talked about this when we had Max Tech on the show, most applications don't take advantage of all that horsepower. So it seems like it should be a lot faster, and the marketing materials, it makes it look like it's a lot faster. But when you actually go to use it, you're like, wait a second, where's all the power I paid for? How come nothing is that much faster than the M1 Max? It's like, well, because they just added a ton of cores. And they didn't actually make the chip faster. They just added more engines. And how many engines can you use at one time? Well, if you're doing something with super heavy lifting, then maybe you'll take advantage of all of them. But most regular people don't need that many cores. So I'm happy with the increase in performance, but I wish that the single core performance were a little bit faster. Now, the one other thing I wanted to mention was Apple says the M2 GPU cores are 35% faster than those in the M1. So that's a big increase in GPU speeds, and just extrapolate all of these increases to the M2 Pro, M2 Max, and I think we're going to be looking at some pretty substantial increases in horsepower on those machines, which we probably won't get till, spring 2023. So if you're willing to wait, yeah, go for it, Lewis.
Interesting segue.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because the next headline is 15-inch MacBook with M2 Pro might launch in spring 2023. It's almost like you ripped it right from the headline.
and actually,
professional.
To be totally honest, I actually forgot we were going to do that story because I moved it, and I was looking at the giveaway next, and I was like, "Oh, we're doing the giveaway next." Like, how is that a segue? But yes, you're right.
Let me zip through this then.
Okay, and let's talk about this, because I think that there are some interesting aspects of this story that we didn't cover the last time we kind of talked about this a little bit. So go ahead, and I'll jump in with some color commentary.
Yeah, so this is the latest rumor from or prediction or whatever from Ming-Chi Kuo. He says a 15-inch MacBook will debut in less than a year that offers either an M2 or an M2 Pro processor. Might be the first one we see with an upgraded version of the M2. Let's see. This is him, Kuo, talking on Twitter. He said a new 15-inch MacBook may offer 2 CPU options, M2 with 35-watt adapter and M2 Pro with 67-watt adapter. So that's his latest prediction.
So the reason I thought this was interesting, and the reason I wanted to bring it up again, is because Ming-Chi Kuo says this is going to be a MacBook. He doesn't say MacBook Air, and it could be a MacBook Air. In fact, I think Gurman was saying that it was a MacBook Air, this 15-inch model, and we've talked about this before. And if it is a MacBook Air, cool. I would love to have a 15-inch MacBook Air, but the thing that makes this interesting is whether it's a MacBook or a MacBook Air, they're going to be adding the option to add the M2 Pro to it, which, Lewis, you didn't seem like you were that impressed by. But I was like, that's a pretty big departure from the offerings in the MacBook Air, which is supposed to be like a low power, low performance computer. And if they allow you to add a M2 Pro, now you're in like video editing territory. You know what I mean? There's a lot of benchmarks out there that show that the M2 Pro is not necessarily worth, or the M1 Max is not necessarily worth the extra cost over the M1 Pro. And so, like Max Tech, I think in some of their videos recommend you just go with the M1 Pro. Well, now if you're able to put that same chip in a MacBook Air, if that's what it ends up being, that's a pretty powerful option for a MacBook Air, and only further affirms the point I made last week that this new MacBook Air and the 15-inch model are the most perfect consumer computers that Apple has made, and it would be a perfect computer for like most people. But if they diverted and actually re-released the MacBook line, then they would have a whole new computer line, which I think would be strange, right? Like, why go back to the MacBook? That just seems like it's really confusing. But they could do that, and then they would have a computer that was positioned between the MacBook Air, which would then be on the lower end, and then the MacBook Pro. In the middle, you would have a M2 Pro option MacBook, which would be cool.
That would be real weird. That'd be really weird, though.
Yeah, I think so too. Which is why I think that they'll end up just doing a 15-inch MacBook Air with an M2 Pro option. But just having that option would be really cool, because I think for most people, that's all they would need. Even if you were editing video, like you can do. Apple talks about 55 streams of 8K video with the M1 Max and the M1 Ultra, but like, who's editing 8K video? Very few of us are doing that. Like MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, he might be the only one. They're sure as heck not doing it in Hollywood. I mean, they're still selling DVDs, Lewis. DVDs won't die.
Are they still selling them?
People are still buying DVDs. 1080p DVDs. I can't believe it. 2022. I mean, how long has 4K been around? Like 6, 7, 8 years? And people are still buying DVDs. It just blows my mind. And Apple's talking about 8K, and I'm just like, where is this 8K content that you speak of? Because most of the content that I see is still in 1080p. I mean, I subscribe to HBO Max. Here's a tangent for you.
Oh, brace yourself for a tangent.
So one of the reasons why I bought a 4K television finally was because I had subscribed to Disney Plus, and they have a lot of 4K content. Apple TV is like 100%, or Apple TV Plus, excuse me, is 100% 4K. And then I got HBO Max for free when I upgraded to my unlimited plan on my carrier. And I was like, oh, sweet, man. Like, now I have all this HBO content in 4K too. So I buy the 4K TV, I start watching stuff, and then I'm like looking at HBO content. It looks good, but it doesn't look as good as Disney Plus or Apple TV Plus. So I start looking through their content, and I'm like, there's no 4K content here. That's weird. There's like a couple of movies here and there. So I start doing some research online. Almost none of HBO Max is 4K. They have like maybe 5 things that are in 4K. All the rest of it is 1080p, which blew my mind. It's 2022, and HBO Max still does not have 4K content. They said they're working on it, and I don't know if you guys know this. Like, they made an agreement with AT&T Time Warner to have theater releases released the same day on HBO Max up until a certain time. I think it might be like the end of 2023 or something. And those movies are off in 4K. But all the other stuff that they have on there, all their shows, all their movies, it's all 1080p, which I don't know if people care about that, but I that kind of blew my mind, because it's like Apple's Apple TV Plus service is top notch. Like, it is top shelf. All the content looks incredible. It all has like Dolby Atmos. It's all 4K. I mean, they just throw everything in there, and it's all $5 a month. Now, they don't have a ton of content, I know, but services like Netflix, they nickel and dime you for all that stuff. Like, if you want 4K, you have to pay them for their premium plan, which is like literally 4 times the cost as Apple TV Plus. Disney Plus has some 4K content. They have a lot, but they don't have as much as Apple. I mean, their whole catalog is 4K. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that story, except to say that HBO is still in 1080p, and people are still buying DVDs. And I don't know if that annoys anyone else, but I just couldn't believe it. Looks like Anth Towers was late. That's okay. Don't let it happen again, Anth. Don't let it happen again. All right. Let's see here. Before we move on, did we cover that story in full? Yeah, we did. Let's do the giveaway. But before we do that, if you're in the chat, would you mind heading on over to the like button, give that a couple tickles for us? And what that will do is that will inject our show into the streams of everyone suffering through the 9 to 5 Mac podcast. And God forbid they're watching the talk show. They might come over here and get a respite. They got some humor. They got some jokes.
So much bitter infighting in the Apple journalism world.
I know. If people only knew how hostile we were towards each other for real, they'd be shocked, wouldn't you? Like, remember that one time I saw Gruber on the street, and we got into that fight, and we started choking each other out on the street? I almost killed him, Lewis.
I wouldn't admit to it on the air.
We made up since then. I'm just joking. I don't know John, and we actually never got into a fight, but it's possible, John. All right, let's do the giveaway real fast, Lewis, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it real fast.
This is a nice one.
Yeah, it's a 65 watt GAN mini charger. We teamed up with LuluLook for this. We're giving away 5 of these. It's got 3 ports. I believe it's 2 USB-C and 1 of your favorite USB-A.
USB-A. It's not my favorite, Lewis, but it is a necessity.
You're a champion of that port.
There you go. People keep saying that it's dead. I'm like, it's not. It's everywhere. You can't just get rid of it.
Clearly still exists.
Yep, there it is.
It's a fine little charger, and it's, like I said, it's gallium nitride, which is the latest, greatest. That means it's smaller and more powerful. That's the technology you want to look for if you're looking for a charger.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
This thing could charge anything from your iPhone to your MacBook Pro, and sign up for your chance. All you gotta do is go to the Cult of Mac website, scroll down to where it says giveaway. You'll look for the headline: win a 65 watt GAN mini charger that packs a punch. That's where you go. You click on that. You sign up. You enter. It's free to enter. Enter as many times as you'll. Well, you can enter more than once.
Enter as many times as you want. No, actually, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, enter a few times. Let's see. Was there anything else you need to say about this thing? It's a pretty good looking thing. It's got a little light on it, which is different.
Yeah.
Usually
Let
they
me
don't
just
have
say
a
one other
light
thing
like
about
that.
USB-A, Lewis. Because
Okay. Your favorite.
clearly you're being a little sarcastic in your praise of USB-A here. So I was out of town this last weekend, and I brought my USB-C charger, and what I realized is like, oh shoot, my iPhone cable is USB-A to Lightning. My Apple Watch cable USB-A to the weird puck at the end, right? So you need USB-A. I mean, if you don't have it, I suppose you could go buy new cables, but
Yeah, you got to
the
get
the
your ducks
Apple
in a row
Watch
before.
charger that they include is USB-A.
Is
At
it on
least
the latest? I'm not actually sure about
I
that.
actually I'm not sure about the latest Apple Watch, but
But yeah, the ones that you have lying around. Sure, I totally understand. I have some chargers like that. It's great to be able to have a little GAN. I GAN. I have a hard time saying that.
yeah,
Well,
I just say gallium nitride.
that's even harder. But you get one of these 65 watters, and it's good for everything. You don't have to worry about it. You can just carry that. You can charge basically anything. You can charge three things at once. The other thing we should mention about
Yeah.
this, it's normally priced $49.99, which is cheaper than Apple's, of course, and half the size. Um, but right now, if you feel like, oh, gee, I might not be able to win. I might not be lucky enough to win the Cultimac giveaway. And I'm sure that there are people out there feel like that. They're just not lucky enough.
Even though they've heard me say the luck is on your side.
Or if you might think to yourself, gee, I want one of these.
Yeah.
And if I won one, it'd be awesome to have two. We got a deal right now. You get 13% off. So that brings the price down to $36.99, which is pretty good for a 3-port GAN charger.
Yeah.
65 watt. That's a good price. So you can, if you go to that same page where you sign up for the giveaway and you click on the buy from LuluLook link, that'll take you to the thing, get the discount. And I think the giveaway ends pretty soon. So you want to get there's 4 days left on that. I don't know how long that sale's going on, but
Yeah.
Giveaway ends soon. So get in there and enter.
Jeff Druin saying no one ever wins. Those are all the boxes in Airphone's house. Don't blame it on me. You guys should
That
see.
is patently false.
You guys should see Leonard Caney's basement. It's like a time capsule of outdated technology that's never been opened. It's going to be valuable someday.
If you need some iPhone 8 cases, let us know.
Yeah, right. We got about 1,000 we can send to you. 1,000 per day for 2 weeks straight. All right, so there's the giveaway. Let's move on, Lewis. Let's talk about Apple's CarPlay master plan. And when I say CarPlay, I mean their car play.
Play for the car.
Because it's coming.
I get what you're saying.
And you know what? I'm going to make a lot of points in here. So Gurman actually, I hate to give him credit. It really irks me to do so. But this really was a great piece. And he had some ideas in here that actually were things that I was thinking about. So I will take credit for some of my ideas as well. And I was just thinking about this. And this is such a genius move. So that CarPlay demo they did at WWDC was kind of interesting, right? Especially if you consider that Apple doesn't make any royalties off this, which I didn't know at the time. And they are making a play to control everything in the entire car. And they're trying to, I would say, gently pressure, motivate, incentivize car manufacturers to adopt this vision of CarPlay. Because as we all know, CarPlay is just so far superior to anything that exists. It works so well. The design is beautiful. The aesthetic is just like so perfect for the car, and it integrates with your iPhone and everything, right? And now they're able to take over the entire system in the car, even like the speedometer and like the gear shifter and everything that is in the car. And it's like, wow. So what's their move here? Well, let me give you a few insights from the Germinator himself. He said in January 2001, Apple launched iTunes. 10 months later, the iPod arrived. In 2014, Apple released HomeKit and the Health app, and that heralded Apple Watch's debut in 2015. Also in 2014, Apple introduced HomeKit. That predated the HomePod, as well as Smart Hub technology being integrated into the iPad and Apple TV. Currently, Apple is all in on augmented and virtual reality, having launched ARKit in 2017. It's also continually adding new related technologies across its platforms, creating the foundation of its upcoming headset Reality OS. So his point being, they always work on the user experience and the software first before they release the actual product, right? And I saw a quote from our beloved Tim Cook, TC, from a couple days ago, and he was talking in some interview about AR, and he said, quote, "I am incredibly excited about AR, as you know, and the critical thing in any technology, including AR, is putting humanity at the center of it. That is what we focus on every day, putting humanity at the center of it." So here's the play, Lewis. Here's the play. Why is Apple doing CarPlay? Well, they're doing it because it allows them to see exactly how people interact with these systems in all the cars that are sold. So the manufacturers are getting CarPlay free, this software that people really love that integrates with their phones. But what is Apple getting in return is they're able to finally craft the user experience and put humanity at the center of their systems so that when they're ready to launch their own car, these systems will be tight. They will be dialed in because Apple will have been doing this for years and years and years. Not only that, but it gives people familiarity with Apple's systems, right? It's like how iPod was the gateway drug to the entire Apple ecosystem. Like you buy an iPod and you're like, whoa, this is good. And you're using it on Windows or something. And then it makes you interested to see what other products Apple has. This is going to be the same thing. It's like you use this really beautiful system in your car, and then it makes you curious about other Apple products. And then also when the Apple Car comes out, you're like, whoa, you're ready for it, right? Because you're like, if it's this good inside of a Ford, how great is it going to be when you have the full CarPlay experience inside an Apple car? And not only that, the last point, and this is probably the gravy on top for TC, and you know TC loves gravy on his turkey.
Well, who doesn't?
What's that?
Who doesn't?
That is a good point. I love gravy, dude. I won't even touch a turkey without gravy. But it keeps it erects another barrier in the walled garden, right? So you have like this CarPlay system. It integrates with probably all of your Apple devices, your phone, your Mac, everything, your calendars. And now, well, do you want to switch to another line of products? You're going to get that HP, doesn't integrate with CarPlay. Going to get that Android phone, oh, it doesn't integrate with CarPlay. You know, it's like it's all going to work so seamlessly together that it's just going to keep you in the Apple ecosystem forever, which is where TC wants you, because they're also working on a new line of connected gravestones, Lewis, called DiePlay. Yeah.
Jeez. Where did that come?
So when you die, they have like a connected gravestone. It shows
So it's fully
pictures of
cradle
you.
to grave?
Yeah, it's going to be full cradle to grave experience. And when your family members show up, it will greet them and be like, "Hello, John. Your brother's remains are here. Would you like to send a message to him?" And then it's this whole top secret thing that my sources have told me about. So they're going to get you on the full experience. But the reason I wanted to bring up the story again is because it's coming, man. Like they're fine-tuning it. And I think the Apple Car is going to be the benefactor of all of this great CarPlay stuff. And Apple may be the first company that actually adopts the full CarPlay experience. I think that I would be surprised if any car company, maybe aside from BMW, actually offered a car with the full CarPlay experience, because they know Apple's up to something. You know what I mean? It's like, you're doing this for free. What do you think, Lewis?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, that was one of the weird things about watching that, was how much control that would be over the car, right? And it does seem like it would be great, and it seems like it would be a win-win for the car people until suddenly there's an Apple Car, and then it's like, well, we already gave you the keys to our riders, whatever. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And I can't remember if we discussed this last week, but I went to the talk show live, and they were talking about this, right? And have you happened to watch that? It's on YouTube now.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Well, your old buddy Gruber, who you definitely didn't get in a fight with, asked asked Federighi,
You know I would
said
have won.
something like, "Oh well, I've absolutely never heard any kind of rumor that Apple might be working on its own car." And it was a hilarious question, and Federighi's response was absolutely hilarious too, because he gave this just big grin like the cat that ate the bird in a Looney
Really?
Tunes cartoon. Yeah, and you know how he is. He's kind of animated anyway, but he's just kind of like it was
For
pretty
those of you
hilarious.
listening, he's rolling his eyes around and making a bird face.
He didn't say anything. He just kind of
You know, that's
it
interesting because that kind of says it all, right? I mean, if you can't even keep your poker face when a comment like that is made, and that kind of gives it away, I think.
it was very interesting moment. I mean,
Hmm. Which is
so
cool
yeah,
because, normally when they give interviews, they're rehearsed. They know what they're going to say, you know,
I'm not I'm not going to speak about anything in the future.
I can't talk about future products, y'all. I mean, TC
Right.
especially, he's got a much more serious poker face than Federighi does.
Much more squinty.
It's very squinty, and it's hard to see his eyeballs darting around in there, so you don't know exactly what he's thinking. But he's also got a lot more experience just being in front of the camera. So get Craig, have him have a couple drinks. He'll be spilling the secrets. Talk show live.
Jeez.
He'll be like, I can't say anything, Gruber, but I can say it goes 0 to 60 in 1.3 seconds.
Jeez.
And it's in my garage right
Uh,
now. Yeah, that's going to be cool, man. I would love to see an Apple car. I would also love to see an Apple camera. They would never do this, but if they did, they would dominate because their smart HDR technology is just one of the best that's out there. And if they mix that with like a proper camera, like an SLR camera, a mirrorless camera I should say, that thing would just destroy. It would just destroy the competition. They're Nikon, Canon, Fujifilm. They're all so far behind in that regard. Like their cameras are basic technology, basic software packed into a camera body. They don't add any smart technology to these cameras. And if you did that and you used algorithms to like tweak the images and keep the highlights low and brighten up the skin, I mean, you could just do so much with that. But all right, let's see here. Is there anything else I didn't mention about the CarPlay play? The CarPlay. It's in the name, Lewis. It's even in the friggin' name. It's the CarPlay. And I just
yeah,
laid it
I,
all out for you guys.
I
Yeah.
I really like your idea about the observation that it would give Apple the data, right? Like, I mean, they've already been driving cars around all
Yep.
over the place for
Yep.
years. So, but that's very limited in, certain conditions. I mean, to be able to see how people interact with the system for a
Yeah.
couple of years, it fine too. Plus, the first person that wipes out because they can't get their messages to work right. It's not going to be in an Apple car. It's something else. It's a Volvo.
Yeah, and if you think about it, not to belabor this any longer, but I would imagine the hardest part about building a car, it's not about building the actual car itself. Like, cars have been around forever. Tesla's out there. They could reverse engineer that thing. I think the hardest part about improving the experience is improving all the systems, the user interactions, the UIs and stuff, all that stuff, moving us forward in that regard. And the only way they could do that is if they had a large audience to test out all their stuff and see how they interact with these systems. And that might be why CarPlay is so genius, because that's what they're doing. They're doing it right in front of us, and we're not even seeing it. Until now, I've outed them. And the TC Hit Squad might be here soon to collect me and take me to the Infinite Loop dungeon. But that seems to me exactly what's going on here. All right, let's talk about. Oh my gosh, we're so far. We're so long. What time is it? How long have we been live? We've
What
been
day
live
is
for
it?
we've been live for like an hour, so we're gonna wrap it up. But I do want to talk about this iOS 16 beta SMS filtering feature just real fast because Lewis didn't know anything about this. And I recently churned this feature on because it works in iOS 15, but it doesn't have as many features as the improved feature is going to have in iOS 16, and that is iOS or SMS filtering. So I don't know if you guys know this, but in iOS 15, if you go into your settings, you scroll down the messages, and then scroll down, you will see a little toggle that lets you filter unknown senders. And I found this recently, just playing around with it. And what it allows you to do is filter your messages into two groups, known senders and unknown senders. I can't show this to you. It's going to be too bright. So when you're in your messages, you can look at all messages, known senders and unknown senders. Most of the people that text me, I don't know why, they're unknown. I get so much text message spam, and I get text messages from recruiters. I get text messages from people on like Craigslist for things that I have listed, and they're all just mixed in together. Well, now I can keep the text messages from my contacts filtered. Well, in iOS 16, they're taking this even further. So Apple has already teased in a WWDC 2022 session that iOS 16 would add 12 new subcategories to the SMS filtering API. With Beta 2, they're now available to developers. The company says iOS 16 Beta 2 allows developers to classify incoming SMS from unknown numbers into 12 new subcategories within transaction and promotion categories for improved organization. So if you get like those text messages that are for they're like codes to let you into websites, right? Like those could go to their own folder. Promotions from stores and stuff, so that you keep all that crap out of like your actual messages inbox, and you can filter those out by folders. This is a long time coming, don't you think, Lewis? Because messages have got to be like email. I don't know about you, but I'm getting tons of message spam all the time. It's like it's just littered with crap.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should mention that because that's exactly what I thought. Oh, it's just exactly like Gmail, which those kinds of filters in Gmail have effectively made it so I don't ever see those emails.
Really? They worked out well, huh?
Well, I mean, yeah, they worked that well, but also at the same time, I never see those messages. They might as well not exist. I mean, I have like 30,000 unread emails because all of these, and the thing is, it isn't bulletproof. It isn't completely like, oh, you don't ever want to see this. Sometimes it's like, we just had a horrible charge on your credit card, that you'd actually like to see, but it's in the updates category or something. So I don't know. I just turned that feature on. Like you said, I did not know that existed in messages. I'm a little bit scared to turn it on just because I don't know how good the filtering will be. And messages have actually become like the one thing that people can definitely get a hold of me through because my email account is just such a garbage pit. So I don't know. I have kind of mixed feelings about it because I don't get that much spam. And when I do get it, I don't mind knowing it's there so I can block them, to be honest. I suppose having it all, I'll see. I see how it's like filtering it. Like I said, I just turned it on. So
one of the things I recently did was I started using my Apple email account more, and I only give it to people who I know personally.
Ooh,
and so it's
A-list.
Like it's the A-list, man. If you make it on there, it's like I actually want to hear from you. And so now I actually see emails from people because, like you, my other emails have become a wasteland of press releases and crap that I don't care about. And then, of course, all the emails you get from every website you sign up for, right? And so I have my humans only email account now that I use for that, and it's great. All of a sudden, now I see emails, and I don't have to filter through like this huge list of crap that's in there that I could never make it all the way through. And here's the other thing I wanted to mention. So in iOS Beta 16 or iOS 16 Beta 2, Apple said that for selected U.S. carriers, Messages extends the report junk feature to enable users to report SMS and MMS junk to carriers. I don't know if this will help reduce the amount of text spam that we all get, but it's a great step in the right direction because right now, can you even report SMS messages as spam? I don't think you can. So being able to report that stuff to the carrier will be able to.
You can block the sender.
You can block them, but I mean that's like it's pointless. It's just more work than it's worth because they're going to just send you a text from a completely different number the next time. It's all just like IP phone numbers. So
yeah,
but I mean, if you could batch report, then people will be held accountable just like they are for email. Because if they're all coming from a specific block of numbers, those numbers will just be blacklisted. You won't be able to use them anymore.
They'll be held accountable. Yeah. Spammers are definitely being held accountable.
Let's see here. We got Norbert saying, I use the random iCloud email service to sign up for random websites. I do too. I use that all the time now. Have you tried it, Lewis, where it just generates a random email for you?
A couple of times. I wish that it had existed about 20 years ago
Yeah,
because
right.
then I wouldn't have so much garbage in my inbox.
Maybe you could go through every one of your 30,000
Nice.
emails and be
Nice
like, hey,
weekend project.
hey, from now on, can you email fishsplounder@icloud.com? Thanks.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I think
it
I'll
works.
definitely do that.
It works great. I've been using that too. And the other feature I love is in Mail, how Apple just lets you press that one button to unsubscribe from a list. I don't know how that works, but I use it all the time. And I've been on a rampage, man. Like, I am unsubscribing from everything now. I don't want to hear from you on a list. There's maybe 5 lists I want to hear from. And other than that, I don't want to hear from you. I'll just check your website. If you have a house you want me to see, Zillow, I'll see it on your website. I don't need you to email it to me. You know what I mean? Way too busy. So there you go. So we got some nice improvements coming to iOS 16 Beta 2. Well, it's coming to iOS 16, right? And you can try it now in iOS 15 if you want, and it's gonna get even better in iOS 16. Okay, let's wrap up with this last story. I don't know if I'm gonna
I can't wait to hear this.
I don't know if I'm gonna regret even bringing this up, but I just thought it was interesting. And this actually blew my mind. So I don't watch a lot of Apple TV Plus. Do you, Lewis?
I watch a fair amount of it.
Do you actually have Apple TV Plus? You pay for it?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I'm a proud member of Apple One Premium or Premier,
okay.
whatever it's called.
Okay. So I don't have it, and shows like this are one of the reasons I don't. So I remember trying to watch Apple or For All Mankind when it came out, and I was like, I watched it with my wife, and I was like, this is one of the most boring shows I've ever seen. I don't understand what the point of this show is. I couldn't even make it through maybe 3 episodes of it. But apparently to this service, Just Watch, they compile a weekly list of the 10 most popular streaming series in the United States. And For All Mankind, starting with season 3, so maybe this is when things get interesting. It has come in number 10 for 2 different weeks. Is that 2 or 4? I can't tell.
I think it's 2 weeks. It's only been out. There's only a few episodes out so far this season.
Okay, which blew my mind. I was like, it's on a list of really new and popular shows: Yellowstone, Better Call Saul, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Stranger Things has only got it beat by 2 slots. TC's got to be paying this website. Don't sue me. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying I find this hard to believe. And For All Mankind is suddenly on the list and is one of the most popular. So that this makes it one of the most popular shows that is being streamed now. So it's not just their list. They're saying that this is one of the most popular shows on streaming television, which blew my mind. Have you watched season 3, Lewis? Because I know you were watching this show.
No, I got bogged down in season 2 when it just got too boring for me.
It took you that long for it to get too boring?
I mean, I wanted to like that show. I love stuff that Ronald D. Moore has done in the past. Like the Battlestar Galactica reboot was fantastic. I was hoping for something along that level, those lines. And yeah, I mean, it's okay, but it just got, aside from being a little bit slow moving, it also suffered from the old Apple TV drip, 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 one a week, right? And it's like,
yep.
If they're giving me 1 episode a week and I'm really into it, I'm still gonna probably fall off the train. My attention span is just that short. I'll start watching something else. I'll start watching Stranger Things, and I'll watch that entire thing, right? That'll take up all of my TV time for a couple of weeks, whatever. And then, what was that? What was going on in For All Mankind? I don't remember, right? That's the thing I hate about Apple TV Plus more than anything else is the drip, 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 the weekly releases. It drives me batty.
Yeah, I hate that too, and I know exactly what you mean. And of course, they do it to keep you in the service, right? Because Apple TV has such a low volume of content that they have to keep you there, so they have to drip it out over the weeks. Whereas I think Netflix just releases all their shows at one time, don't they?
Yeah, big dump.
Yeah, and that's the way to go from a user experience.
They do it so they have something new every week, for one thing. I think that they probably think that they're generating conversation about the shows. And this just occurred to me the other day. If you had like if you dump everything out, then you're not going to do like a weekly recap, right? We run recaps of all these Apple TV Plus shows,
Mm-hmm.
almost everything they they release,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's another reason why probably they're trying to capture those recappers, right? So I don't know. I mean, I can. It's just a strategy, but I personally it doesn't work that well for me because I'm not very regimented about watching TV. I mean, I like to watch stuff. I like some. I just finished watching what was it called? Shining Girls. I waited till that whole thing came out, but even that I got kind of lost because I didn't watch it all in one thing. If I don't watch these shows in one, compressed period of time, I forget what the heck was going on.
I know
I'm just
exactly
too
what you
old for
mean.
TV.
We watched Lost in Space, the Netflix reboot, and it was actually really good. We got to season 2, and then we had to stop because Netflix didn't have season 3 ready. And when we came back to season 3, it was like a year later, and I could barely remember what was going on. And Netflix is great because they'll do recaps. Like there's another show that I'm watching now actually. It's Snowpiercer, the show Snowpiercer. Have you heard of
Yeah,
it?
you've mentioned this before.
I've talked about it a few times.
From you?
Actually, yeah, I like it. I like it. But same thing happened, and I was waiting. I finished season 2, and then I saw that season 3 was on HBO Max, and they don't do recaps. So you're
Somebody
like,
must be doing one.
you're going to
can
this
find
show like 6 months after the last season has ended, and I can't remember what the heck happened. And
Yeah.
you don't know what happened last season. They don't do recaps per episode, per season. So I have no idea what I'm missing. There's like a lot of disconnects for me. I'm watching the show. I'm like,
Right.
why are they talking about this? What happened? I have no idea. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do it the way Apple TV does, you got to have a great recap system in place.
Do they?
And
Well,
be like, last season on.
for last season. Well, they do even like what last week on, right? I mean, they do
Do
stuff
they?
like that,
I
and
don't
it
know.
helps. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just always amazed at people who can remember this kind of stuff. I mean, and there are people who have that great memory for they somehow absorb every little nuance. And they remember exactly what happened, and that's because in episode 3 of season 2 they showed this, and okay, great. Well, I'm happy for those people, but I'm not one of them.
We got Dipsy Doo saying Snowpiercer is ending with this next season, by the way. Of course it is, because I like it. Season 4. Yeah, it is. It must be season 4, because I'm going through season 3 right now. I'm almost done with it. And I didn't know they were making another season. That's kind of a bummer. I'm not surprised that it's ending, because it seems like a show. I mean, if you've ever seen Snowpiercer, like the original movie, dude, it is a weird movie. I love it because it was so creative and imaginative and unlike anything that I'd ever seen before. And the show has elements of that woven in. I would say it's a lot less weird than the original Snowpiercer movie was, but it's kind of a strange premise. They're on this train circling the globe endlessly because the entire world has been frozen over and they can't get off the train, and they're like the last group of people left alive. And they're on this train with like an immortal engine that was engineered to last forever. And then they're on this train, and there's different classes of people, and they're fighting and warring amongst each other. I mean, the whole thing is just really weird.
I remember seeing that movie.
It.
I just have a vague recollection of thinking it was kind of silly.
Yeah, I think silly is probably a good word for it. But it's not any sillier, I would say, than Squid Games.
Oh, come on! Bite your tongue.
It's got like Squid Games are the creators Japanese?
It's Korean.
Korean. Okay, so I think the people that made Snowpiercer, I'm not sure, they're either Japanese or Korean, but they also have like that sense of humor and that creative style that is similar to Japanese and Korean content. That is just kind of wild. Like, it's just a way out there, right? Like Squid Game is way out there. Like Snowpiercer is way out there, and they have that element running through. It's kind of like it's its own genre of content, and I think that you kind of have to be into like that weird, wacky sci-fi stuff in order to really enjoy Snowpiercer. I love it, but yeah.
Did you hear they're having another season of Squid Game, but they're also having a reality TV show,
like an actual reality TV show.
Yeah, and the headline was something like, having a turning Squid Game into a reality show, but it won't be lethal. I was like, oh, really?
I didn't know that. I think they should consider keeping the lethality. You know, that's really what made it interesting, isn't it? I actually never saw it, but that's what I heard.
It's a pretty good show. I liked it.
Is it
That
like
was one that huh?
is it hyper ultra violent? That's what I heard.
It's rather violent, yes.
Yeah.
Some people come to rather disturbing ends. But it's
Is it like Kill Bill where it's like over the top disturbing ends?
I don't know if there's yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty violent. But it's
Yeah, I want to check it out, but I'm not into gratuitous violence like Saw and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's like
yeah, it doesn't have. I mean, it's violent, but I don't know. Somehow Saw is just disturbing as can be, right? I don't know. I didn't find Squid Game to be quite as dark as that, although it does end up getting pretty dark, especially right at the end. So
yeah, I think I caught a scene of like Hostel. I think it was Hostel. I don't remember where it was. We were like some hotel, and I turned on the TV, and there was like this guy eating something, and then it's scrolling out, and you can hear some guy yelling, and it scrolls out, and he's like eating this guy's leg while he's strapped to a table, still alive.
oh, jeez,
And I'm like, dude, who would watch this? This is like the most sick,
that
sadistic,
is not
like
good.
satanic garbage I've ever seen. Like, why would you want to watch this? I mean, there's a whole term for it, right? It's like torture porn.
Yeah,
It's content for serial killers, right? Like you have to be an aspiring Ted Bundy to really enjoy Hostel. If anyone really enjoys Hostel, just know that you're friends with a serial killer, or at least one in the training. like they're not a serial killer yet, but one day they will be, and you might be on the menu, my friend. So you better take it easy. All right, with that, let's go ahead and wrap it up there.
it's definitely time to pull the plug.
When we start talking about cannibalism, I think that denotes the end of the week's episode. All right, all. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCasts we have for you guys this week. But if you want to come tell us about your favorite 6 sadistic movies, you sickos, we're both on Twitter. I'm at Erfon, ERFN. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. Thanks for listening live. Thanks for watching live. And we'll see you guys next time. I'm into wholesome content, Lewis. You know, like Barney and Friends. How you like that?
No.
Just wait until they wait until those kids get older, and in order to catch them, they're gonna do like Barney's Hostel. Hey kids, welcome to my hostel. They're gonna try and trick them into watching it, Lewis.
Oh dear.
No, sick people. Little House on the Prairie. Oh yeah, that's one of Lewis's favorite shows, right?
Little House on the Scary.
Little House that is scary. Okay, well, I'm gonna hover towards the end stream button as we speak, Lewis. I think that's it. That's all I got.
Everything good has to come to an end at some point.
That's true. And so do things like this show. Even things that are not good have to come to an end. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Catch you next time.
Bye.
All right, Lewis.